Hi guys, it's me Jamie and welcome to the rebranded version of Leo Reads. I actually spoke about my rebrand a little bit in my live show that I did recently for my birthday with Caitlin and Chloe, so if you are more interested in that side of stuff then you can check it out. But yeah, I'm not going to go into heaps of detail about it. It's just I just wanted to rename my channel and kind of like escape the box that Leo Reads kind of put me in, I guess, and just made my channel a little bit more personal. That's literally it. But if you are new here, hi, my name's Jamie. This channel used to be called Leo Reads and I would definitely just talk all about books and stuff and do reading vlogs and stuff like that. And because I don't really have any new videos on my channel for a little while, I thought why not start off the new channel by doing a video on 10 of my all-time favourite books, so you kind of get more of an introduction into my sorts of reading tastes and the books I'll be reading and talking about on this channel. I'll try not to go into heaps of detail about every single book because otherwise this video will just be so long, but I'll just talk a little bit about what it's about and why I like it so much and why this book kind of shaped me as a reader and all that sort of stuff. So first I thought we should start with a classic, which is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. This book was one that I read when I was a teenager, like quite young, maybe like 12, 13, and it kind of made me fall in love with like the fantastical element of storytelling, like classical fairy tales and the escape from reality, which books so often provide us. I feel like a lot of people have watched the movie of The Princess Bride, but not a lot of people have read the book. But if you have watched the movie, the book is literally exactly like the movie. The movie was very, very loyal to the original concept. It's also a story within a story, which is really, really cool. Like, it's about, like, the author is kind of like pretending that it's real and everything. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's so amazing. It's basically about this princess here called Buttercup, and she falls in love with like the farm boy who then ends up getting like shipped off to work somewhere else, and then the ship sinks and he dies, and then it's just this tragedy from there on. It's just got so much adventure and there's so many storylines, like I literally don't even know where to start. So I definitely recommend picking up this one if you're just looking for something really fun and just the best escape from any form of reality. This is just so comforting, definitely one of my comfort reads. I also read it recently when I was like 20 and it was still really good. So yes, definitely vibe with this. Princess Bride. The next book I'm going to talk about is more of a recent read. I actually read it in June, I believe, but it is Fowlers by Hannah Capin. Now this is a YA retelling of Macbeth, and it's told from the perspective of our character who is posing as Lady Macbeth. She gets gang raped at a party. It's really intense, but if you are worried about reading about that sort of scene, it does not go into too much detail. It's definitely more like the atmosphere and it alluded to what happened, and it's very like straightforward about what happened, but you don't have to, it's not gratuitous. Like there's not a full scene where she's getting raped. She then decides that she's going to take revenge on all the boys that were involved. She enrolls in the private school where all the boys go to, and she just takes them down one by one with the help of her friends who are kind of the parallel of like the witches in the play Macbeth. There are so many incredible lines. It is so good. It's one of those ones where it just makes me so happy to be a woman. That sounds kind of weird, like, because at the end of the day this character is a victim, but she refuses to be defined by what happened to her and her victimhood, and she just like takes what happened to her and turns it on its head. I feel like this book isn't for everyone. It is very jarring, but it's just so one of those stories that I think is so important. It made me fall in love with reading again. Like the way that it's written is just so empowering. I am in love with this book and I definitely recommend it to so many people. Obviously there is the trigger warning for like murder and rape and stuff like that, but it's just the most amazing revenge fantasy I've ever read. If you can handle it, absolutely give this one a go. It's just incredible. Another book that really shaped my reading taste is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is actually a book that I read really early on, like I think I was maybe 16, and it made me fall in love with, I don't want to say literary fiction because I'm not sure if this is classified as literary fiction, but it made me fall in love with the art of actual writing itself and how beautiful and poetic and lyrical it can be. It's like a really weird kind of dystopian book. It tells the story of these kids that went to a boarding school and they grew up, and it's all very idyllic and really beautiful. In this world people die really, really young, so it's very much a story of like making the most of your childhood. I absolutely love it. It's just one of those ones that is just so beautifully told. It's just got such an amazing element of mystery and almost romance, like the way that the story is told. The narrator has just such a beautiful outlook on life and romanticizes everything, which is definitely something that I can relate to. So I definitely really loved it. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, it will make you cry, so if you are into that sort of thing like I am, then definitely pick it up and give it a go. I love it so much. Another book I want to talk about, which is also very heartbreaking, is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This book is all told in the space of one day. It's also from two different perspectives. We hear about this one Jamaican illegal immigrant who is in America, and her family has been deported, and she has one last day to try and stay living in New York, which is where she grew up. And it also tells the story of a Korean boy who has his interview for Yale. He's feeling a lot of pressure from his parents and he's just not feeling the best. They end up having a chance encounter and spending the day together and falling in love. It's so beautiful. I love romances that are heartbreaking and tear people apart and tear people away, and like the yearning that comes with that, and the fact that like people cannot be together and meeting the right people at the wrong time. Like I am just obsessed with stories like that, so this one is so good. It's also like just a really fun, fast YA romance, but I will say the end is heartbreaking. Definitely have some tissues with you when you read it, but it's definitely one of my favorite love stories that I've ever read. I wish I could go back and read this again. I still need to watch the movie. I'm trash. The fact that I haven't watched that yet, like who am I? But I love this book so much and I definitely recommend it. It's so good. Speaking of star-crossed lovers, another book that is just one of my favorites is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now this is a mythological retelling of the Iliad, but we focus on Patroclus, who is the lover of Achilles. These boys, oh my god, their love story is so tragic and so beautiful. It's so heartbreaking. The characterizations of these characters are amazing. The tale of Achilles like getting blinded by his own ideals of heroism is just so good. It's so beautifully told. I have so many tabs of just like beautiful sentences. I feel like you also don't need to be into mythology or classical history to get the most out of this book. I think it's just one of those books that's so beautifully told. If you like to cry, if you like lovers that cannot be together, if you like tragic love stories, this is definitely one that I recommend highly. Like it's just so incredible. I literally don't even know what else to say about it. Like I feel like anything I say about it just won't do it justice, but definitely one that I recommend everyone picks up like ASAP. It's so good and also such a fast read for what it is. Like I read this in like a day and cried so much. So yeah, definitely recommend. Okay, we seem to have a theme here because another book that very much features people that should not be together, Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I read this book last year and it was just so dramatic and messy and so what I needed. So basically it tells the story of these two friends who used to date but they don't date anymore. Francis and Bobby. They end up becoming friends with this really cool like older couple in their 30s, and they have all these house parties, and Bobby is just incredible. Like she's one of these really like extroverted like annoying characters, but I love her so much. Our main character Francis ends up having an affair with Nick, and this really crazy dynamic ends up happening. It's just so messy. It feels really slice of life, but like the best, most dramatic parts of life. I obviously don't want to be living the life that they're living, but if I could be friends with someone who is in that weird, messy, quadruple relationship, God, my life would be so much more entertaining. It was just so good and described so much of the messiness of mental health and adulthood, and like really, it was coming of age, but for like people who are in their early 20s and don't really know what they want to do with their lives yet. It was just so good. I just recommend this to everyone. It's kind of heartbreaking. It's people that want to be together but can't be together. And like, yeah, I don't really condone affairs and cheating, but the way Sally Rooney has written the story is just so good. It just really displays the messiness of human beings, and like not everyone is perfect. Not everyone really is a really good or really bad human being. I feel like I've just been rambling. I don't even know how to describe this book. I have been so messy about this book, but honestly, it's what it deserves. So Conversations with Friends, definitely pick it up, especially if you're just getting into adult fiction as well. I definitely recommend it. Another book that I want to mention that I actually read for the first time last year is Vicious by B.E. Schwab. This book blew me away when I first read it. Basically, it's kind of dark academia. These two friends, Victor and Eli, they end up doing a experiment at university for their PhD, and Eli wants to do one on these things called extraordinaries, which are basically people who have been dead for a certain amount of time and they manage to come back to life, and they come back with powers, essentially like superhero powers. Oh my god, talk about morally grey characters. These characters are so dynamic. The way it's told is amazing. I'm a really big fan of non-linear storytelling. I really love time jumps in stories. I feel like it really keeps me on my toes and keeps me invested. So I love that this is how the story is told. We hear about their college days and kind of them coming to terms with their powers and like getting them and stuff, and then we hear about like 20 years later, Victor's been in jail, Eli has a god complex, there's 2 other girls that are involved now as well. It's just so good. I definitely recommend it. There's so many funny lines. It feels very tongue-in-cheek the way that she's like told the story. If you're into kind of like science fiction but don't really know where to start, I'd say this is a really good one because it's very lo-fi science fiction. Like it's not a lot of like space travel and we need to save the universe. It's like it's kind of set in real life, but people just like have powers. So absolutely love that and would definitely recommend. Another book I want to talk about is The Beach by Alex Garland. I read this in high school and absolutely fell in love. It's one of the first kind of adult books that I read. I read it essentially right after I read The Secret History, which I will be getting to, but this book just really made me fall in love with like adult fiction. So basically this guy called Richard, he's on a gap year and he has traveled to Thailand, and in his crazy hostel he meets this kind of insane guy who doesn't seem to be all there. He seems to be very kind of like, what's he on about? But he gives Richard a map which leads him to a secret beach where he finds a secret civilization, and he ends up joining this secret civilization, and they are so removed from the real world. They fish for all their food, they go hunting. It's really kind of toxic, but he ends up kind of falling into this lifestyle. It's so mysterious, and again, it's one of those books that really like discusses like humanity and what humans would be like without civilization. I don't know, it's just really good. Also just like an incredible character study, and I really liked it, and it's just full of adventure. And I love it so much, and I definitely would recommend this as well. Like the ending as well is so intense. It's just so good. Definitely pick it up. I haven't read it in a while. I definitely want to read it again soon because honestly it could be the type of book that might have some problematic lines that I didn't pick up on when I was 16, but I still definitely recommend it. It has stuck with me throughout the years. So yeah, I might actually do a vlog rereading some of my favorites. If you're interested, let me know. Another book that I want to talk about is one that when I first read it, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a favorite. I actually rated it 4 stars, but I have not been able to stop thinking about it. I would say it's probably one of my favorite books that I've read all year just because of how much I go back to it and how much I think about it. But it is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. Now this book, it says it's a YA. It feels very much more new adult to me. One character is like 22, 23, and then the other is in her first year of college. So it definitely feels very new adult. But basically it's about these 2 characters that have a chance encounter. Our main male lead, he has anxiety, and our main female lead finds him on the side of the road having a panic attack. So they end up exchanging numbers and being each other's like emergency contact if anything kind of happens to them, but they're too embarrassed to like call one of their close friends. They end up starting this beautiful relationship all through texting. And usually in like YA books and stuff like that, I really hate like text conversations because it feels so fake and so wrong and so like unresearched. But this one genuinely felt so real, and you just kind of fall in love with these characters and the way that they fall in love with each other. It's definitely a complicated relationship and very complicated characters. A lot of people hate this book because they're like, oh, like Penny, our main female character, is so like, she does so much girl hating and like it's so pointless and the characters are so horrible and judgy. And I'm like, that's kind of what I love about it because that's realistic. Like, I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever been in a relationship with someone or you meet someone who you feel like is so on your same wavelength that you think it's like us versus the world and everyone else in the world is shit, but you two are like the best and you could never like meet anyone who was on your level. I felt represented as a Leo. Like, I'm not sure if it made any sense, and I feel like you really have to have had experience that sort of relationship with someone and that sort of mindset. Like, not saying it's a healthy mindset, but I feel like you have to have had experience that to understand what I'm saying. But it was just so good. I just loved it so much, and I have a full review on Goodreads as well, which I'll link down below, which I think I go more in depth with my thoughts. And again, this book probably wouldn't be for everyone, but I just flew through it and I loved it so much. I fell in love with both the characters. I definitely recommend giving it a go, even if you just need to look past like the judgmental characters and stuff and understand that like they are real representation of human beings. Like, not everyone is perfect, and these guys are exactly that. So yeah, I definitely recommend picking it up. Please do. And the last book I'm going to talk about, I feel like if you are a long time subscriber, you'll know. Like, why am I even? Okay. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This has been my favorite book for probably like 7 or 8 years. I have not found a book that tops it just yet. There are a few in this list that have come pretty close, but nothing gets my heart racing like The Secret History. It is literary fiction, dark academia. It's about a group of classic students who are very elite. They end up killing this guy when they are in like this, when they do a bacchanal, which is like a drug, alcohol induced state of mania, which is like led by the gods, I guess what they believed. Their best friend, who wasn't invited to the bacchanal, finds out about it and like blackmails them, and then they have to deal with him as well. So it's just like so much murder and revenge and mystery, and I love it so much. I love the pretentiousness, I love the elitism, I love the slow burn. The storytelling is so beautiful, there's so many beautiful lines. I guess I'm just one of those people that loves to read about unlikable characters. When a character is too good at everything and too nice and too much of a bloody cinnamon roll or whatever people like to call them, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm bored. Bring the mess, bring the drama, like, I'm sorry. Also, maybe it makes me feel a little bit better about being a shitty human being, but yeah, I just love this book so much. Recommend it to anyone. You know what, I say that, and then a lot of people I recommended it to ended up hating it, but what are you gonna do, I guess. I just love this book so much, and I would write home about it. And if you like it as well, like, it's the sort of book that I'll talk someone's ear off. I recommended it to this girl the other day who's like not even on BookTube or anything, just like in my life, and I recommended it to her, and then afterwards she's like, let's have coffee. We'd never had coffee before, but we go and have coffee. We talk about it for a good hour, like nothing else but this book. So it's just one of those books where I can't describe it, like, you've just got to pick it up. I also like don't really like any other dark academia books. Like, anything that is compared to The Secret History I hate, so please don't come into my comments and recommend me to read If We Were Villains, because I'm telling you right now, I hate it. I just love books about shitty humans, clearly. So yeah, that is everything. Thank you so much for watching. If there are any kind of books that you think I would enjoy based on all the books that I enjoy in this video, let me know. And I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you've probably picked up some new books as well that you want to read. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around if you're still here after all my hiatuses. Like, genuinely, it means so much. There will be much more coming in the future, I promise. This time, I promise, I hold you to it, pinky promise. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.
But she said, Cindy, don't cry, and I don't wanna